looking down from the heights that we have built all by ourselves. And there is fear of the unknown, but we cannot lose control when we feel like the world is against us. We're trying to find ourselves without the defining words. We can no longer hold on.
Quiet's driving me insane. Silence rattles in my brain. Yeah, I gotta get away. Always waiting for the fall, so I built my towers tall, wandering through these empty halls. Break the cycle down, walls are coming down. Gotta save me from myself. This emptiness, it hurts like hell. My good intentions let me down. I keep getting in my way. My stubborn pride will dig my grave. Leaves it behind with every step I take. Yeah, cycle down, also coming down. I gotta make it out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Look my feet right in the eye.
What's going on, guys? Give me a quick sound check. I have the background music on. Finally found some copyright-free music, so shouldn't run into any issues. The stream will be recorded and saved. The last stream, I had a copyright infraction, and what happens is they make you remove the entire portion of the video where that infraction was, or the portion which that song or whatever you're using, you know, if it's a movie or song, was playing. So, and then a few strikes and you're out. So give me a quick sound check. Subtitles. I'm not familiar with how to turn subtitles on, man. I'm sorry. Let me just, let me double check. Subtitles, closed captioning. Give me a second. Sound is okay. What kind of response is that? Okay, like it's not good, or okay, like it's. Hold on one sec. Let me see if I could turn subtitles on. Stream language. Caption certification. What's that? No. Yeah, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could turn on subtitles during. One sec. Live chat. Yeah. I don't think I could do that right now, but I will figure out a way to do that in the future. So sorry about that. Loud and clear. Okay, good. All right. Let's make some adjustments and we should be good to go. Good morning. All right. What's going on? It's 2 minutes after the open. So stock market just opened. I have some levels that are marked out where I want to do business. I don't know if I want to do business there yet, but I don't want to trade exactly where price is right now. But I have the levels marked out and we have some alerts set. So should we come in contact with those levels, we'll see whether or not there are any trades that develop. You know, can't say how price will behave when it gets to that level. So nothing that stands out right now that is worth going into right at the beginning of the stream. As a reminder, and I just say that because these streams moving forward are going to be just sort of a live trading format where it's less of like a bigger picture view like some of the other streams where, you know, we talk about everything from top down. Ideally moving forward, the streams will be more fast-paced, more action-packed with trading, and less talking and less bullshitting. Before we get started, as a reminder, none of this is financial advice, strictly for entertainment purposes only. Shout out to the sponsors of the stream, Bybit. Links are below. There is up to $30,000 deposit bonus. Obviously, that's dependent on the amount that you deposit. The bonus goes from $100 all the way up to $30K, and if you deposit, you know, 1,000, you get a certain bonus. If you deposit 5,000, you get a different bonus, and you know it's kind of obvious how that works and why that is that way. Yeah, if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button because I've said in the past that I planned on being more active at the end of the summer. Want to get on YouTube more. Twitter's kind of, who knows where Twitter's going. But I think that the market's probably going to pick up before summer's end, and I have like a date in my head always of after Labor Day. So here we are. So I'll be streaming more often. I'll be streaming during the New York Open. Maybe from time to time I'll change the stream time to be later in the day, just so that there's a little bit for everybody. And obviously there are people right now that can't make the stream based on scheduling, and I get it. So I'm going to try to change it from time to time, but I don't want to change it too much to where there's no level of consistency. And I think that kind of covers what I wanted to touch on at the beginning. I got a big water jug. And all right, so let me just check the chat. Sounds good. Good morning. Also, in the description below, there is a Phemex link still. Phemex is listing a token. I think by the end of the year, their token will be tradable. But right now, I think all the trading that you do on the exchange, or there's some kind of setup where they had that, you could mine the token before the token is released or tradable. So if anyone is interested in that, I think that, exchange tokens have a bad rap. Like when exchange list tokens, people have, and this was during the bear market, people just were attributing everything to being a possible, or speculating that everything would be a possible FTX in the making. What I'll say about exchange tokens is, if you look at just historical performance of exchange tokens across the board, whether we're talking about complete dog shit exchange all the way up to your tier 1 exchanges, exchange tokens tend to do really well. So when they list their token, when Phemex lists the token, I will go ahead and buy that token as well. It'll be something that is probably a buy and hold for at least a few months. That you got to let these things kind of work themselves out in the beginning, especially because it'll probably be thin. It'll probably be trading relatively light volume. But overall, I think like the bare minimum for an exchange token is, I think, the worst that one has done in terms of overall returns before, maybe round tripping, was like a 3x. So buying at the beginning, getting a minimum of 3x, that sounds kind of ridiculous. From one to the next, you might get, you might be able to put on more or less depending on, again, how much liquidity there is. But overall, I mean, that is kind of the low end of returns from bottom to top. Or I should say from beginning to peak. Look across the board. There's plenty of examples that have done well beyond that. But, I don't want to use those as an example and say like, oh, you should go buy Phemex token. By all means, do your own due diligence. I know I will. I know that I'll say something like this, and then you guys know me. If it starts trading funny, if it starts just looking unhealthy, like, I'm out, right? I'm one of the first ones out always. So be sure to check that out. The link is below, and there's still a bonus as well. And yeah, I don't think they have a KYC requirement like a lot of the other exchanges do. I don't think they've put any of that stuff in place yet. Okay. So we have levels marked out. Market just opened. We'll see that the opening range is laid out. This is the ES. So I've been doing a lot of index trading recently. I've traded some single name stocks as well. In the single names, I've been prone to taking option positions rather than just buying the actual stock, with exception to a few things. But I've been trading more index futures. So this is 6 months in the making now. I think you guys have been following me long enough to know that when things kind of got boring in crypto, I went back to trading. I went back to my roots. So the ES is what we're looking at right here. It's not like it's not something that is maybe necessary to monitor as closely as it was as closely as we did months ago when markets were really correlated. But nevertheless, I have this chart open. This is not an area where I want to trade right now. So we have single prints at 44.73. We have another gap at 44.62. And then we have what I think is an obvious important level, and that's right around. This is the high into 4,500. So 4,500. I mean, if the S&P is above 4,500, you know, there's a good case right now, obviously, for trend continuation across the board in, I think, both the crypto and legacy markets. I don't think that we've I don't think that we've sort of pulled everybody into the pool yet in legacy, and I don't think we've done that in crypto. So I think that we are going to continue to see higher prices. So a move above 4,500, I think, is probably a pretty good level to focus on for the ES, to see, you know, whether or not we remain bid above that level. If we could possibly get long above that, there might be a short setup above that. It all depends. But the point is, where price is right now, it's not a location where I necessarily want to trade. I mean, if you look at the TPO chart, where we're establishing value right now, where price is kind of been really balanced so far for this session, I could see a situation where the market takes the overnight high, comes back up, retests what was the high of the 30th, and that is, again, that's 44.97, and then reverses, and we balance out a little bit more within this region. So we'll keep that open and keep an eye on that. All right, so BTC, this is the weekly open in green. BTC still stuck within the same range. Shorter term, no real setups that I want to take. I'm still long the underlying, so I think this is a time when you want to just be patient. So I'm still long spot BTC, still long spot ETH, still long spot Doge. I own spot Pepe. I have some futures positions that I am either I have trimmed a little bit or actually have begun to build, specifically with render. So we'll go over that. Just thinking of things I wanted to touch on the stream. Okay, so I want to talk about this platform right here. So this is Sandwich. I've shared Sandwich a few times before. I don't work for Sandwich. I don't get paid by Sandwich. They are kind enough to let me use the platform for free. This is going to be, I think, the go-to platform for trade management and execution. So I've been using Sandwich for all of my crypto trading. You could connect to basically all the exchanges, all the leading exchanges. This has all the order types that you will never find on a traditional platform. So we have, you know, your basic quick trade. You have your TWAP. So I'm actually, as you can see below, I have a scaled order set up for render open, and I had a TWAP running that has actually since finished. Very, very useful tool. So whether you're getting into something that is thin, whether you're looking to build a position over time, you have multiple things that allow you to do that, whether you use that iceberg or whether you use that percentage of volume, or if you're looking to build a longer, a larger position, a TWAP, scaled order types, basically everything that you can think of that isn't really available on any exchange platform. In Silico Terminal has a few different order types that, become popular, but I don't think that there's really anything that allows for the level of customization. So this is very modular. And in terms of security, nothing beats this as well. This is self-hosted. So this is hosted on your computer. This is allowing you for direct market access. When exchanges go down, when you're on the website and it goes down, you'll still be able to execute using this. So this is a phenomenal platform. I mean, if we go to completed orders, this is just the list of that TWAP that I had running. I have things blanked out right now, so you could remove a bunch of columns. So for just the sake of the stream, I've gone ahead and customized this a little bit. But if I wanted to say, I want to, I'm trading, render, and then I want to open up a window for what's it called, for ETH. So wait 1 sec. Oh no, I just opened up render again. So LTC, and now I want to have these side by side. Right. This is so this is just showing you, based on your account. So it's obviously it's a USDT is $1, USDC is $1. Again, I have all these things blanked out. Where did that go? Here we go. This is just, it's a phenomenal platform. Really, I mean, it speaks for itself. So I think you could check this out right now. I think it's still, I fucked myself up real quick because I just modified this, and 1 sec. We'll leave this like that. Check out their Twitter. I believe it is still free to try, but I know that obviously, platform of this caliber will be something that you have to pay for. So I'm going to leave this open. So I've gone over this before. I'm going to leave this open. I have a render, again, TWAP that has filled already, and then I have a scaled order as well. So we'll go over that setup. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second when that window got screwed up. So as far as BTC goes, I don't see anything in the short term that has me wanting to change position. Same for ETH. So I pointed this chart out earlier, and I've talked about this multiple times. I've talked about the dominance by open interest. So specifically when we were looking at, so others are alts, and you can see ETH is flatlined. When we see that dominance in alts and dominance in BTC really begin to pinch, a lot of the times what that is, I have used in Silico Terminal. Sandwiches is definitely better. A lot of the time, and there's nothing against Silico Terminal, but it's just my opinion. A lot of the times when you see the open interest with alts begin to increase, so dominance and open interest, sandwich finance, sandwich trading. I'll share it on my Twitter after this. Sorry. When you see the open interest in alts begin to go up as BTC drops, or even as ETH begins to lose market share as well, that rotation is usually like the rotation before the fall. So when I was pointing this out earlier, all I'm pointing out is that this looks really healthy right now. So I don't think that this rally has seen its highs yet. I think that we're in, I don't want to say a new paradigm, but I think it's really clear that this market has made a turn, and that we're probably going to be moving at least sideways and up into the next halving. So, I've said the same thing multiple times now for 6 months, even longer than that, this is the bottom. So for the local trend, I don't think there's really anything necessarily that has me worrying, as long as we are above, we'll say, it's the same as last stream, 29.2, 29.8, this zone. I mean, if you look at this, looking at this on the monthly, we made a new monthly highest close this year. I don't see any reason to really micromanage this unless we are beginning to show signs of weakness. I'd say 29 is a good number. So anything that's into this zone and that leaves quickly, like we've had recently, not cause for concern. I'd be more worried if we started seeing some significant closes underneath that level. It's I know it's a limited sample, but there's only a few times where we've had this kind of monthly engulfing structure, and every single time when we've had that kind of turnaround, that kind of big picture turnaround, it's led to continuation in the coming months. So I don't know what that means in terms of the high for this move, but I do think that it's quite obvious that, again, like I've said, big picture, BTC has made a turn for the better. And one of the things that I really want to make sure that I do when I begin to believe this, and I absolutely do, is that I don't micromanage any longer term positioning and spot positioning that I built up, and really start to take kind of a longer term view again and remind myself that, the most, I guess, the most reliable narrative that this market has is the halving. So hold on one sec. So considering that, and we are going into 2024, I don't think I want to make any big changes, or be shaken out because of any, shorter term moves. I will obviously try to remain nimble and hedge here and there. Again, as long as we're above that 29K level, I can't really see any reason to not, I guess the best way to put it is to not give this room to breathe. That's BTC. There's cases to be made outside of the halving right now. There's the ETF by BlackRock. There's a lot of ETFs that are being attempted to be opened. That funds are attempting to open, right? So this is obviously, when BlackRock does it, everyone else is going to try to do it too. But, we've gone over in the past stream about, or we talked about on Twitter already, like the success rate that BlackRock has. I don't think it's necessary to go into that. There's a lot of good things that I think are on the horizon for BTC and for this market. Anyway, ETH. This is, again, another thing that I don't want to micromanage. I shared this chart, and this is probably going to be more of a higher time frame, talky kind of stream. I shared this chart probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I put a picture of catch up. And it was next to the BTC chart that had taken its high. If BTC does something, and again, the market isn't already saturated, we have tailwinds in legacy markets as well. If BTC does something, I think it's just a matter of time for ETH to do it as well. So for ETH, as long as we are above 19, so we held that last night, ended up taking off that last little bit of positioning that I added, after it was like a 20-point move. But as long as we're above 19, I think that this gap between 21 and, again, going back there to 19, I think that gap is something that we close. We could close that obviously in a very short amount of time, but I think that we close that in the coming weeks. So I don't see a case where BTC ends up, making a new yearly high and ETH doesn't. So this is, again, something that I don't want to micromanage. In the shorter term, if we get any dips back, so if we get a dip back down to 19, or even at this high right here, this 1935 region. So this is just this is the high of this local range, or the zone, right? So not exactly a specific point, but between 1937 and 19, if we get some kind of dip there and price action remains constructive, I'll probably look to just add that positioning back that I was shaken out of after that brief little spike. That was futures positioning on top of what was, again, already spot positioning. So ETH, again, it might sound boring, this stream, but there's not a whole lot that is worth talking about, because I don't think that there's much that is changing, or that is cause for concern, and I don't want to psych myself out of any positioning. There are some alts, so we'll go over render. Or how about, let's talk about some of the drama. One, I think we could do away with, just keep an eye on the S&P, so just back within the range. For BTC, there's one short-term setup that might arise, and that is, so this is the weekly open right here. Again, this is something that I've talked about multiple times before, or something that I tend to point out. It's when we don't really have much of a move below either a daily open. It could be either above or below a daily or a weekly open. So in this case, we don't have much of a probe below. Again, weekly open and a daily open. So it tends to be the case that we swing back to this level over the next couple days. If we do have some kind of spike below into, you could just look at the last 2 days, the last two profiles. Yesterday was a pretty volatile day in terms of whipsaws. But if we do get a move back down to, like, let's say we move back down below this week's open, today's open, and then we tag right around 35, so 30,005, which is right around yesterday's POC. If we swipe this region, so between 35 and, what is that, roughly, we'll say 3350. If we do that and we have something that responds positively out of there, so it begins to base out, I'll probably look to get long on something like that, depending on the setup. Again, this is just the location, right, or the possible setup, but the flow will be more important when that happens. As far as like open interest goes right now, it's not like, I mean, we've kind of flattened things back down to where we were before this move up. So just looking at open interest for Binance, for this high, you could see that open interest was kind of in a range. So you had sort of a range of positioning, and you had changes in relative open interest, but absolute open interest remained relatively the same. So we finally broke down from that. Price didn't really do anything. So you can imagine that when you take out a good amount of positioning, now you have more sideline positioning. When price doesn't really do anything and it's still trading higher, this kind of just makes me more confident, because that positioning can now come back into the market and can either try to short again and get squeezed, or end up chasing long and helping this move a little further up. So there's just been a little bit of gas taken out of the market in terms of positioning, but the market is still bid up here. I would be more concerned if we continue to move sideways, open interest continue to move up, and then upon moving down, we started to see that open interest began to get squeezed out a little bit, but no major flushes, and then begin to assume that a lot of the risk that is up here is on the long side of things, and elevated open interest would make me a little bit worried, especially if there was a case of like derivative showing signs of overheating, which there really isn't. This is Amber Data. This is the platform I use to look at options analytics and options data, but this also has futures data as well. BTC, and this is just on, this is just as an example using Bybit, APY, so just annualized funding is, we're looking at just under 9%. So again, nothing egregious, and perps are trading under spot. So if we look at, for example, Coinbase, Binance, Coinbase, Bybit, Binance Spot, Bybit, whatever exchange you want to look at right now, perps are trading below spot. So it's not like they're, again, just more things that are a little bit bigger picture. It's not like there's any kind of major overheating up here. So all this little price action you see, this back and forth, it doesn't really have me concerned about anything. Looks like we won't even get any setups because we're right back in the middle of value for the ES, and BTC is, I think, on course. What else? And this is a great tool. So Amber Data is great. The guys over there are great. One of the earlier investors in Amber Data, so I am biased. But if you want to sort things based on relative vol, you have a bunch of different things that you can sort. You could sort around. It's similar to like so Levitas is a popular platform, but Levitas data is quite frequently inaccurate. Let's look at just price change. Pepe finally breaking out, so I'm still long Pepe. Again, the funding rates for even the alts that are doing well. So if we look at Pepe, again, nothing that, so this is volume OI turnover ratio. Even Pepe, I don't think there's any real cause for concern yet in an alt that was really hot for a bit. I expect that alts that did well, and this has kind of just been something that's always been the case, right? This shouldn't be new. Asaka said it like a week ago. We'll talk about Asaka in a second, actually. The shiny new objects, the things that did really well, the fastest horses, when the market turns and capital comes back into the market and people are taking risk again, those are the things that I look first towards. Where attention was previously is probably where attention is going to go back to. It's when that doesn't happen and the market is just looking for any stone to overturn and anything to pump and garbage pumps, then I'm worried. But when BTC shows strength and we see things like Pepe move up again, renders showing signs of strength, prior fast horses showing an immediate sign of strength. I mean, you have Dino coins pumping right now, but I don't think that's. I think we moved. We've kind of covered every base after pumping meme coins, but again, this looks like to me something that has another leg up, and this is not the leg that. This is not what I would refer to as a leg. So I'm still long Pepe. I mean, for example, this is we're looking at multi-week range breakout possibly. Obviously, you would want to see these highs hold. So that 170 region, price trading back within there wouldn't necessarily be a good sign. Although that would be the first area where I would look for some kind of liquidation cascade and then reclaim. But again, it doesn't look like there's any major overheating. If you look at Pepe futures and futures as a whole in terms of alts. So dominance by open interest, that's where that chart comes in handy. All right, so let's talk about while nothing is happening. Or let me go over render real quick, because render is something that this is I still have an order open that's all the way down to, I believe my scale goes all the way down to, this might go down to 203. But my TWAP has since been executed. So render looks like to me something that has continuation all over it. It's a new pair, right? It's AI related. I don't need to say much more about that for you to understand why that's probably important. Looks like we have locally at least a higher low in the making. Market structure wise, things in alts can change very quickly, but what I would be most concerned about for render is that it just holds this little flip. Actually, so my orders they're not down to 203. It's right at this high, so right around 209. So I have a scaled order to fill down there. As long as this continues to hold reclaims in market structure, so even locally, I think that this probably continues back up and makes new highs. I can't see a case where BTC and ETH are strong and this does not perform really well. Also, I don't think there's any case to be made for this being saturated or anything of the sort. I think open interest has been, let's see, I think open interest is back down to where it was in a prior major low. So if we just look at open interest and price, and where we are. So again, I think there's just a good amount of positioning that's been taken out of the market, and locally you're starting to see a little bit more spot buying come back in. So you've squeezed out a good amount of futures positioning. Render was a hot pair for a bit. This higher low is in the making. I think as long as we continue to mark up and hold even local market structure, that at least we're looking at retesting this high around 240. So I'll stay long that, and I'll continue to get filled back down to that level. I'll consider cutting that if we have any kind of significant change in those conditions. So I probably sound really casual during the stream and maybe even a little bit like blah. I don't see a real reason to mess around with things right now. There was a time to be really, I guess, hyper vigilant about your positioning and really keeping a keen eye on everything. Yeah, there's still kind of another shoe to drop, possibly with Binance, some kind of DOJ announcement with respect to Binance, but I just think that ends up being a buying opportunity. So my point is, like, I don't want to be hypersensitive to every little move and things that I think are going to, if I think that this has a very significant chance of being higher over the next couple months, I don't want to worry too much about like the minutia, because we know that alts will take, an S path to get to that point. And it's very easy to get yourself in a position where you're kind of priced out and, you're looking to chase something when you had a good entry originally. So I don't really want to mess around too much. All right. So the story the last couple of days, besides Elon bricking Twitter, is Hasaka taking on a Rollbit partnership. So everyone should know who Hasaka is. He's probably one of the most respected traders, most looked up to, idolized, deified people on crypto Twitter. I'm saying a lot of ums during the stream, aren't I? You know why? Because in the back of my head, I'm thinking I have to take a piss. So you have to give me a second, because I have thought about that for the last 20 minutes, and it is like my brain is getting saturated. So please enjoy these tunes while I take a quick break, and we'll be back after this message. About that for like the last 10 minutes, and it's been occupying almost every other thought I've had. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. All right, probably noticed a little difference in now. So let's talk about Hasaka. So I've known Hasaka for a long time now. We don't like talk or anything, maybe we've had a few interactions, but just obviously being on CT for better part of going on 7 years. Music. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So like I was saying, Hasaka. So I've been in CT now 6-7 years. I had a account prior to to Kenner and Clark as well. But Hasaka was if anyone was around last cycle, you can hear. Can you hear now? It's so loud. Okay, you can definitely hear now. 1 sec. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, so I've known of Hasaka for a long time now. So for the entire time I've been on CT. Again, like I said, don't talk to the guy personally. Had a few interactions with him, rubbing shoulders on CT the same way you do, right? With most people. Hasaka back in 2017, 2018 was really known for, actually, people might not know this, was really well known for, of all things, technical analysis education. So he was kind of like crypto cred in a way, just publishing sort of longer format TA threads and stuff on trading basics, honestly. For people who've just started following Hasaka for like the last cycle, they wouldn't know this. But there's some really good stuff that he put out that is still out there. So all you have to do is search Twitter. But TA basics, like risk management basics, like support and resistance trading. Obviously, Hasaka has evolved a lot over the cycle, and he crushed it the last cycle. It's clear that the guy just absolutely throttled it in terms of his own trading and his level of astuteness and attention in this market. And he went from being, a TA, not teacher, but to being someone that's obviously way more sophisticated than the original content that he put out. Do I think he sold his account? No. A couple things. Hasaka's a massive account. Okay, he's been giving gems out for free for the last few years. Okay, the hand of Hasaka is real. There is a Twitter post that documents the Hasaka effect. So when Hasaka mentions something, that is like that project getting a blessing for X amount of time after him mentioning it. And they broke it down in a very granular way. Like Hasaka post 1 hour out, 15 minutes out, 4 hours out, a day out, a week out, and showed the performance over time after he would mention something. So his effect became really obvious. A lot of people knew about this without even that thread. So without even that very scientific breakdown, they knew of this, and most people were riding Hasaka's coattails for what feels like the entire cycle. And I will absolutely admit that I did as well. If Hasaka posted something and I was able to see it within the minute or two after he did, I was longing basically everything at one time, longing everything that he posted. And some of those trades ended up being incredible. And it's because obviously, one, he is held in a certain esteem. Okay, so people trust him. They know he's a great trader. And two, it's like he has a lot of followers. He has more eyes on his content, right? That's a very simple relationship to understand. So I think after a while, he began to be a little bit more, a little bit more opaque and tried to obscure some of the things that he was sharing to not move them as much. But nevertheless, people would find things out very quickly, and, he would share a chart without a ticker, but there are brains out there that will just create programs that just look for charts that look like that, I guess, because immediately these things would be discovered, and you look through enough charts, you remember what's what. So he ended up taking a sponsorship with Rollbit. So there's a lot of Rollbit controversy lately. Rollbit, it was a casino first. Now they offer trading products. It's kind of like similar setup to CFD. I'm not going to go into all that. Rollbit was getting a lot of hate lately. They partnered with Gainsey. They're paying people a lot of money. They're probably making a lot of money, right? Because a lot of people like the platform. Honestly, I used the platform for the first time after hating on it myself without even using it, which is like the worst thing you could do, is to just jump on the bandwagon, especially in CT, because CT is full of people that are just, well, they just have really poor perceptions of things, and are very immature. So I jumped on the bandwagon and judged it as the product that I thought it was, which was, it's something that's kind of like you're trading with them. They're taking the other side. It's a casino first and foremost, blah, 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 blah. So I ended up trying and actually ended up really liking it. It's a fun platform, and there absolutely is a use case for it for people that trade in a very specific way. And people that maybe they trade one way, but then they also want to be able to trade that other very specific way, which is scalping for ticks almost. But using a high amount of leverage to do that, and also being able to just isolate the amount of risk that you want per trade, and also not have to deal with any slippage. Okay. So either way, try things out yourself before you end up judging them, because it turns out that I actually ended up really liking the platform, and I definitely can see a use case for it. So they're getting a lot of shit. Hasaka partnered with them, and then everybody came out, okay? All the Pearl clutchers, all the virtue signalers, saying that Hasaka clearly, is a grifter. He's supposed to be this like god trader, and now people are questioning how much money he actually made and how much money he's actually worth, and how could he do this to us? First of all, Hasaka doesn't know anybody anything. The purpose of building your popularity in any area is to ultimately be able to capitalize on that. Okay, people don't become famous for free. Right? They look for ways to gain endorsements and to gain deals, and it's completely logical, especially when, for the longest time, especially large follower accounts, they are just giving things away for free. The people that were calling Hasaka poor after this, and people who were saying like, I guess he can't trade, a lot of those people, like 99% of those people, can probably only attribute their green P&L or their periods of green P&L to riding Hasaka's trades. I swear, I watch people that I know that they are not even profitable traders, and they probably benefited from Hasaka's trades. So they know that he's a profitable trader. And suddenly now he's no longer a profitable trader because he took a deal. Then it calls into question the amount of the deal. Listen, you could bet that it was a big deal. There's a lot of money that goes around in crypto, especially from exchanges, to gain more attention, and they end up obviously paying influencers and paying people with large followings. And again, I'm sponsored by Bybit, and that's just reality. That happens in every single industry, right? So it's a bit of, there's a lot of hypocrisy, because I've seen really smart people. God, people on Twitter have the dumbest fucking perception of money. First of all, crypto Twitter has the dumbest fucking dumbest perception of money. Like, if you remember last bull market, people talking about what you needed to live, what you needed before you could retire, and like $1 million isn't a lot, $2 million isn't a lot. You need at least 20 million. Like the dumb fucking shit, excuse me, that came out of some people's mouths was just, it's actually not surprising, because there's a lot of morons on crypto Twitter. Really immature takes. But saying that, like, even if the deal was $50,000 a month, $20,000 a month, that's a lot of money, right? If you're getting paid $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, that's still a lot of money. Hasaka's deal is probably well over that, okay? But just bring it back to reality, to what people actually work for in the real world. All right, if you're a trader and you're really successful at trading, then it might not be that much money, but still it's real money, okay? It goes towards something. And as you get older, you realize that it all adds up and it all counts. So let's say that Hasaka's deal was $1 million a year, right? Now people are saying like, oh, I thought Hasaka was an 8-figure trader. I thought he was a 9-figure trader. He could have just done that by, this is literally what people are saying. He could have made that $1 million in one alt trade. And what they're implying is that, and this is what they have to be implying, they're implying that he could have built a position and then posted it and then exited on that liquidity. And they have to be implying that because the market isn't just a tree where you shake it and money comes off of it. And if you're really skilled, you could shake it all the time. That's not how it works, right? There are so many times when there's no trades, and it's still hard for myself. It's still hard for people that have been doing this for a really long time. So what they're saying is like, oh, you shouldn't have taken the Rollbit deal. That's a lot of money. You could have just made that money by pump and dumping. All right. Who knows? Rollbit, they seem like they're really aggressive about growing. All right. And Binance is beginning to lose its footing. You don't know who's going to be the leader in this market in terms of venue at any point. Like if you look at any prior cycles, like the names that have come and gone, and the names that have come out of left field. Like I remember when Bybit started, there were a lot of people that were like, Bybit's a scam, basically. So I think that there's just a lot of hypocrisy right now. Even if Hisaka made $10 million a year, if he got paid by Rollbit to post, okay, and if he likes the platform, that's even better. If he got paid $1 million to post, that is, like, how could you not take that? That's 10% of the amount of money let's say he makes $10 million a year. It's still 10% of the amount of money you make, and it's for really no effort. And then, yeah, of course, people are saying, oh, he burned his reputation. How do you know that in advance? Like, how do you know that Rollbit won't go on to be like, they might completely transform? Maybe it ends up being a leading venue. Like, I think that people have short attention spans, and they're going to forget this in 2 weeks, but that is a lot of money no matter what, right? I don't care if you're a trader who makes $10 million a year or $20 million a year. $1 million to really do not much in terms of work. Like, this guy isn't laying bricks and waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do that. Is amazing. So most people are just jealous, honestly. Most people are just jealous. That's what I think it is. I think most people are jealous. They're jealous because if they were in the same position, they'd be taking that money as well. And who knows what, maybe Hisaka needs them. Like, who knows, but who cares? Who gives a shit? Why do you care so much about how other people make their money? It's not a scam. Rollbit's not a scam. You know, there are a lot of people that are talking about, they're like referencing people that couldn't withdraw from Rollbit. They weren't able to take their winnings. They were like forced to, talk to the people at Rollbit or KYC, whatever. There are cases of this every day on every exchange. But because Rollbit became popular in a bad light, it was focused on. It was zoomed into. But this happens on literally every exchange every day. I can't tell you how many times I have, when I'm partnered with either Phemex or Bybit, people are messaging me, hey man, can you help me out? Like I got locked on my account, or I can't withdraw, or because a lot of the times it's literally people trying to just get bonuses and leave the exchange. Like they think the bonus doesn't require, the bonus is just free money, and they just create an account and leave with $100. And then other times people are actually doing bad shit. They're creating like multiple accounts and trying to, either take advantage of a promotion that's taking place, or you get it. The point is, this happens on every exchange. On Coinbase, you see people complaining that they have to answer all these questions. This is something that's common in crypto. All right. So there's no case of Rollbit stealing anybody's money, though. And you might find some threads. People are going to reference, I know right away, like, oh, there's this thread where this guy said that they took his money. There's that thread for every exchange times 100. And can you 100% verify them? No. So if you can't, just, keep your mouth shut. Let people do what they want with their lives. The worst part is just it is the complete insane perception of money in this place. Like, if he's so good, why would he take $1 million? Bro, $200,000 to a millionaire is still a lot of money. All right. I know after I had my daughter, okay, my perception of money changed a lot. And I'm someone who has by most standards a lot of money. And now I think differently about money. And honestly, again, like I said, it all adds up. So, Even if you're making $10 million a year, $1 million is significant. Especially like if you're a trader, that is effortless money. It's like taking the easiest trade, and your goal is to build more money to trade with. So none of it makes sense, and it's all because people on crypto Twitter are fucking immature. They're children, basically. They're jealous. They're virtue signaling at any chance they can get. But if they were in the same position, they built up their name and they built up their brand, they would 100% capitalize on it, because they would be absolute fucking morons not to. Because this is a website. That's all it is. It's a fucking website. It's Twitter. It breaks half the time. It's not going to last forever. These market conditions are not going to last forever. You never know when it's going to be over. So get it while you can, right? Secure the bag while you can. As long as it doesn't involve you literally robbing grandmothers, okay, and hurting babies and doing anything that is egregious, then by all means, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And the last thing I'll say is no one's going to remember this in 2 weeks. Everyone's still going to ape Pasaka's calls, and there'll be something else to talk about. All right. So sorry for that little messy tangent. Let me look back on the chat. There's just like nothing going on right now to even talk about. I'll take a look at Pepe in a second. So the ES is smack center in the middle of value. There's no trades for the stream. Honestly, you know what I realized? I probably am. I'm always like, you guys know, when you watch my streams, I'm always hyper aware of every little thing that I think and how I feel when I'm streaming. The last stream I had all my monitors up and I had the window chopped based on that. And now I'm doing this thing where I'm clicking between them. That's fucking distracting. Like switching windows completely messes up my train of thought. Let's see. I think the trading part of the platform is going to be something they focus a lot more on. And like I said, I hated on it. Okay, I hated on it at first. I was like, listen, this is a bucket shop. It's a casino. And then I actually used it, and I was making money with Rollbit yesterday. So, and I listen. There's ways. Here's another thing. Okay, it's like there are addicts in this market. If you cut them off from one source, they're just gonna find a way to fuck themselves at another. So it's not like you are creating gamblers, because leverage trading, Rollbit, at the end of the day, exchanges, okay? The exchanges, you think that all the exchanges here are like the CME? No, they're all casinos. As long as he is upfront about getting paid and promoting it for that, then I don't see any harm. Yeah, so actually, there are exchanges, though, that have prediction markets and have things that are like casinos already on them. So games, you just never use them when you're on the exchange or never bother to click on those links. But almost all exchanges have some form of game now. I don't know if you guys realize that. They're usually under like promotional features, but yeah. And if you don't like something, just don't use it. Yeah, so I get your point. You say it's not something that's going to last. Well, you could kind of make that case for every single crypto exchange right now. So, yeah, the market is a nothing burger this open. It's a holiday week, though. You know, we have 4th of July tomorrow. Yeah, 0-2. I get it. It's not like you don't see a central order book. It's not like that in the sense, but in the sense that it's transparent. But it's not that kind of product. But like I said, there's different strokes for different folks. When you don't like something, you just don't use it. That's it. I feel bad for the guy getting all this hate. He's like giving himself for free forever now. Anyway, yeah, there's not a whole lot going on this morning. Like I said earlier with Pepe, it's probably the most boring stream. I'm sorry. I'm going back and forth between screens. It was getting kind of janky, and I had to pee for that like 20 minutes straight. This, I think, has a bigger leg that is going to get put in. So I don't want to mess with this. Like I said, the top side of this consolidation is an area where I would look for a response, and it looks like we've actually already had that while we were streaming. Yeah. Coming down and testing that. What did I say earlier? 170, so 175 instead. As long as the top side of this range holds. So if we just look at where price spent almost all of its time for the last couple weeks. As long as we hold, then I think that this has another big leg ahead. The one thing I did say is, and this is really only if we see, like, we'll look at Pepe derivatives real quick. If we see like the breakout gets overheated, which, you know, it's a good amount of OI that's come in behind this. But like I said, there's a lot of spot buying. So you've had a decent pickup in OI. So from a USD standpoint, you're going to see it's going to go up with price, though. Decent pickup in OI, but the market is still intact as it's moving up. So it's not like that has come in and gotten isolated in any one region. So a breakout that gets crowded, you'd see like the market begin to consolidate, and then OI begin to pick up, and futures would show a sign of overheating. But this just looks like new position getting behind a move, which is probably going to last longer. So I don't think there's any real reason to be concerned about the pickup in open interest on Pepe. But again, if we end up flushing that, so one sign that I think would be an obvious sign to get long, let's say you arrive and you see something like OI flushed, so you have that liquidation, and then the market is back to where it was previously, basically back above the range and bid, but that OI is flushed. That's just more sideline money that's going to end up chasing this move up. Someone posted on Twitter to one of my posts about this not being done. It'll be done when we'll just say asshole is making money, and I don't think that's the case yet. So I think this move is the kind of move where it's not done until it's stupid, until everybody on the timeline is chasing longs and boasting about profit and see a bunch of P&Ls. But right now, it honestly feels kind of calm. And honestly, compared to SHIB, I've said for the last couple weeks that I think Pepe is going to become like the new Doge, and I think I stand by that. So what a boring day. Yeah, you're not going to have any real trading today. So if I go to, like, I'm looking at it on the minute chart because there's no trading. So if depending on the level of activity, I talked about this during the last stream. If the market isn't open yet, I'll look at it usually a time-based chart, so like a 1-minute chart, a 3-minute chart for the ES. Once the market opens, I'll switch between either like 1,000 volume or a 2,500 volume. If we go to a 2,500 volume right now, I bet there'll be barely any activity. Yeah. There's nothing. So compared to what normally is like the 1-minute chart, I mean, it's kind of equal. Whereas normally after an open, you'd see a lot more candles printed just because there's a lot more trading. Doesn't seem to be the case. No, nothing stands out in CVD. You know, a lot of the times off an open, you'll see whether the market is driving hard up or driving hard down. You'll see that same corresponding behavior in CVD, even if the market is pinned at a range high or range low. and then you'll look for that activity to continue to pick up and help the market trade through. But just chop right now. So I was getting a little bit flustered earlier when I was describing this because I had to pee, and changing the screens really fucks me up. I noticed I might have like some kind of mental issue because that really throws me off. I don't do that when I'm trading. I have everything laid out, and then only for the streams I have to start cutting screens and making sure that things can pop in and out. But I'm going to be using this now during the morning streams while I'm trading. There's just nothing compares. Like I said, I'm not hating on anybody. I think in Silico Terminal is great, but they're really just, there's nothing that has this level of security also. And, you know, if I go into, so again, I have everything blanked out. There's a lot more columns that are normally here showing you all your balances, all your open positions, everything that you could think of. You have a command line interface. You could completely modify this based on what you want. So I have this set up this way now with the Algo Manager below, orders, and then DMI, which is direct market access, DMA. But I mean, you could completely customize this any way you want. I could have positions on the left, direct market access over here, right? It's squashed right now because of my screen. Normally this is blown up and there's no issue with any of that. You have all your accounts on the left. Again, these order types are just what makes this so special. If you have a position you're looking to build over time, you know, the TWAP is probably one of the best things to use. Again, you're going to get front ran to some degree depending on your size, but if you're someone who just wants to build a position, doesn't want to sit at price or sit at the screen and monitor it, you want to build a position over the next hour, 2 hours, whatever you want to do, this is your go-to. So let's say I want to buy, you know, another 50K worth of render over the next 4 hours. How many clips do I want it in? Do I want them to be randomized at all? Do I want it to use a market order or a maker or a mix? How much slippage am I willing to incur? If I want to scale into a position, you know, render's going to pull back. Let's say, again, I have orders already. Let's say I want to add more and I want to add down to 206. Well, all I have to do is, again, let's say I want to buy 50K more. I want to have it in a ton of different clips. And I want to go all the way down to, this is broken down easily for you. You could manually do it if you want. So I want to buy down to a 5% dip as my low. And then we want to do it from either 10 basis points, 20, 100, or even just current bid. And now I can skew that based on where I want bulk of that distribution to be. This platform's amazing. I've been swearing by it. And I think if I had it last bull market, I'd probably be on a yacht by now. When it comes to trading alts, I think that this is something that's going to make your life a lot easier. The ability to scale in and not feel, to not feel like overwhelmed by switching between multiple charts and multiple platforms. The ability to have all your platforms connected. Setting a bunch, you know, for most of the time when I'm building a position, I'll mark it in either a quarter or half, and then I'll TWAP the remainder, or even if I think I got a poor entry on the initial position and I know that we're going to dip and I don't want to, again, be shaken out or micromanage things, I'll just scale as much as I can or use the scale tool as much as I can. You could iceberg, you could swarm, the list goes on. It's a phenomenal platform. And there's a bunch of stuff that's coming out. So you can see up here, it says global order book, global trades, volume direction, index viewer, funding viewer. All that stuff is under construction. So Amber's great. So a lot of times I'll just sort this by volume. and then use this instead of something like Levitas. That's here. Let me just real quick. I'm gonna put this in the chat. There you go. Yeah, stuff does add up. It definitely does add up, but if you're doing this professionally, it's something it's more or less required. Does anyone have any questions? I didn't think the stream was going to be this boring, but let's take a look at BCH. BCH is a combination of being very low float, very limited supply, because most of the supply is owned by just a few people, a few whales, and there's not a whole lot on exchange, and there was a mega spot buyer that derivatives just immediately started to fade. I mean, this is at open interest. We're up to 480 million. It's obviously going to be skewed if you look at that converted to USD at higher prices. But when this comes down, this is going to come down gloriously. I don't think that it's on my radar right now for something I would want to short. You would need to see that that we're done kind of squeezing out shorts. So short liquidations begin to taper off on this most recent leg up from 250. You had a massive amount of liquidations. So, I mean, this probably continues to push up higher. If you start to see that the funding's going positive and we're getting less and less short liquidations and we're not really finding anything higher, and then the market is really sensitive to any downside move, so immediate long liquidations with any kind of movement against the trend, I think that you want to start to look for structural failure, but you don't want to be early to short because you're going to have multiple throwbacks. I don't know. This is something that when you have something that gets squeezed this much, it's just something I kind of just take off my radar. You don't have to try to short it. You don't have to be a hero. Everyone else is trying to do that right now. It's almost like you have to, the best shorts for this are when everyone forgets about it. But at that point, it's already have, I think what you want to see at least with something like this is like a negative 20% day. So if we just go on to, so this is another one I'm looking at, Crypto GPT. Funding for this is like 125% annualized. So it's negative. Let's see, BCH. Where'd it go? Yeah, I think with something like this, I want to see that we have like 20% drop from here down to 235. I want to see some kind of major failure. Things like this, that 20% drop is usually after a 20% pop. So you can see so far we've had a 20% pullback, or roughly, but this is not a topping structure. This is still looks kind of stable. The top is usually like a big blowout of spreads. You have like one of those 10 to 20% candles that immediately exhausts, big wick. And then I would start to look for a throwback to that area for failure. So if we had something like, if we had a big spike up, let's say this took it all the way to 30. Let's say, just for example's sake, it took it up to 380. So spike up 380, big drop. Then I'd probably look at, the gap between here as an area to possibly look for weakness and possibly look for a short setup. This is like after a day's close, multiple days close, big signs of failure. Big signs of failure for a high time frame move. So just completely off the radar right now in terms of something I'd want to short. Things like this, it's almost like you still want to continue to look for long setups within them, because it's very much on everyone's radar right now to short. If we look at like funding rates across the board for this, get BCH. I mean, it's still, look, the APY is still negative 15, so this is still trading below the index. Just small details, but I did cover profit targets. Honestly, like, I'm trying to ring true to my earlier points. At this point in the cycle, I don't want to take profit too early. Let's see, high time frame chart for Pepe. What's the highest time frame chart we have? OKX, a little bit longer than Binance. I mean, something like this, honestly, is, I think at a minimum, I think you're at least looking at such a weird level to, it's so, the price on these are, on this is just, so say 29.01. So I think this from here at least has another 15-20% up. So between that, this gap, so going back to these highs, so at a minimum, I think this is going to squeeze up to there. Yeah, so I'll probably take for ETH. I'll pull some off, just under yearly highs. I always do that. I always front run. So yeah, I'll probably look right around. We'll say, I mean, I'm going to keep an eye on this from 2030 and above, just because it's that high. I think this spikes out. I think it makes a new yearly high, but the one thing is, like, you still have a possible Binance indictment by the DOJ. It's something that's possible. Everything's possible, right? It sounds ridiculous. But yeah, I think ultimately we take the yearly highs. I'll try to front run that exit, because I think that that's probably some kind of spike, and then we have a longer period of consolidation. But I mean, going back to the last couple of weeks, 2 streams, I basically said that this close being like this is something that is a very significant high time frame signal. It obviously, things can it could change drastically, but I think that more often than not, we should act like this is a very positive signal to get behind. So looking to buy, honestly, a move down to 29, so a significant loss of 29, like I said, would be bad. But anything that spikes down to 29, 28.5, you would want to see very short-lived, and there might be a good dip buying opportunity there. But if you start having closes below 29 and there's no, again, the thing about naming a level or in advance is you don't know the conditions at that level yet. So it'll all depend on what flow is when we get there. See how render's doing. So probably getting filled more on those orders. Let's see. Completed orders. Yeah, getting filled so far. At 2013. It must be a little bit lower. I'm building a bigger position for render, so this is a more of a swing trade. And again, so I have an alert set here right above 29, just in case I was away from the computer. This render trade is under the conditions that these highs hold. So like I said earlier, it's kind of like we have this higher low in the making. No higher high yet. Obviously, the move is not. It's in progress. I think we're going to get a higher high, but I think that the most important thing locally is that we just hold the top side of this range. It's basic setup. I've covered this many times. When you have a range like this, the most bullish setup would be not this happening, but instead us reclaiming that level earlier. And instead, obviously that didn't happen. We've lost it. We chop back below. But again, now we're back above. So holding that 209 region, I think sets us up to take to attack these highs again. So around 230, 240. So as long as we're holding that level, I'm not really concerned. But the idea with render is that obviously it's an AI related pair. I think it's pretty clear as to why that's important. It's a newer pair. So looking at, let's say, total price history. Well, looking at some more details rather. $782 million market cap. It's actually not a newer pair, excuse me. Why am I thinking that? It's only become more popular again recently. That's why, because of the AI push. So high time frame. Where does this go back? What was I thinking that was newer? I'm thinking of Pepe that's newer. This is on Binance, but let's look at high time frame. This goes all the way back to 2021, this level. Okay, so high, support, resistance, and now we're kind of, I think, flagging and grinding against that resistance. Is it possible that this ends up being a lower high here and this fails back down to this low? Yeah, but that's why I think that 209 level is probably going to be fine anyway in both situations, because I'll be out of the position if these lows break. But I think we're looking at something set up that ends up pushing further up either way, big picture wise. No, I don't have a target ROI or wins, so I don't think about like how much I want to make or what I want to make ever. Probably gonna wrap it up though, guys. It's kind of a boring stream. Keep an eye on ETH around this 1937 level. This is a small breakout, but it's not really jumping off the page right now. Probably going to wrap it up, though. Thank you for tuning in. I will go live again on Wednesday. Sorry for the boring stream, but tomorrow is 4th of July. And on Wednesday, I'll go back to the other format where I'm not flipping between screens and I have just things chopped up. I thought this might be easier, but I didn't realize that whenever I break some of these up, I have to reconnect them, which is a pain in the ass. So anyway, hope you guys have a fantastic evening. If you are in the States, have a great 4th of July. Be safe. Don't blow your fingers off. And I'll see you guys again on Wednesday.